Hey guys, welcome back to Christina's Healthy Life. I am Christina, and as you can tell, this video is a little bit different. You can see my cat Pumpkin back there on the bed. Yeah, this is not a workout video. It's not a reaction. It's one of my very first vlogs. I just started traveling for work, I guess. I don't know. That's a weird way to put it. So I'm a New York State licensed physical therapist assistant, and I took a travel job, just a 13-week contract job on the opposite side of the state. So I'm gonna kind of tell you all about it, how it's been just kind of in these first few weeks. While we're sitting here, I'm just kind of gonna straighten my hair so I'm not just in a plain white room. Like, I'm not sure if we needed any background. I think I'm just gonna launch right into it if that's okay. The air conditioning is blowing. I have it on low, so I don't think you'll hear it too much. The day I'm filming this is June 30th. So by the time you see this, it will be later. Just in the interest of, it's really just for safety. There's gonna be a delay in uploading these. There's even a delay really so far in filming. I wanted to film the first arrival vlog when I first arrived. Okay, so to give you a little bit of background, I've been interested in traveling for a few years now, and I finally was just like really getting the itch. I was, in Buffalo, really feeling like I needed to run. I just needed something new, a new start. Not really, but just like something new. I needed to do something for me. Like, I needed to just kind of stand on my own 2 feet for a little while, get out of my comfort zone. And I applied to a couple locations kind of that fell through. There were some like that were closer, and I eventually landed the job here in New Rochelle, New York, not far from New York City. It's one of the inner suburbs, kind of just north of the Bronx. Great area. They really hurried me right along through. I think from the time I put in for the job to the start date, it was probably like 3 weeks tops. It really moved fast, and there were things that I was very happy with the travel agency. I thought they helped quite a lot, but I also thought they really kind of ran me around and kind of were still throwing things at me to do last minute. And unfortunately, I think that's just the nature of the position, and they wanted someone for a certain start date, and I made it happen. We got here, okay? So but then so the day I go to leave, now the day I go to leave, I'm like pulling up my map app, trying to get the directions to the first motel I'm staying at. So, I'm getting everything planned, and I have like an Air BnB wish list, and I have all these, a notebook full of plans and how am I going to make this work. It's, not like I had a ton of money saved up. The whole reason I took the travel position was for money, which I can get into that a little more, but it was for the financial, just like more security, more, tax-free stipend type pay, just perks like that. So anyway, I took the job for money, realized like I didn't have a ton in savings. So I booked a Motel 6 for the first 2 weeks. And I'm putting that address in my GPS, and it's really like, it is just not loading, and I don't know why. So I'm thinking, maybe I'm low on data, something's, just with, like, of course this is happening today. I'm really thinking it's no big deal. Well, I'm like halfway across the state when I realize I didn't pay the bill, which I don't have it on an auto pay, which might be a little bit irresponsible, but it just got away from me. Usually I use AT&T and they text me, oh, it's ready, press 1 to pay, with this card or whatever. And I usually do that, but I guess it just got away from me, my bad. Cause I had a zillion other things to do. I had to go to 2 different, stupid appointments at like doctor's offices or like immediate care type places, you know what I mean, to get things, in order. I had to call all around my current employer, like for pay stubs. It was ridiculous. I don't even want to get into it. So anyway, that obviously got away from me. I'm halfway across the state before I realize my phone's off. I have no service. I can't just like hop on, call someone, text someone, do anything. I can't do anything. So luckily, before I left, I had my friend take kind of some screenshots of the directions, and I had those. So I you know what I mean? I roughly knew where to go. Took a wrong turn or two. I asked for a little bit of help, found the motel. Okay, things are good. So I'm at the Motel 6. So I pull up and I go to check in, and they want me to pay as I'm checking in. And I'm like, that's weird, because, no, I didn't pay online, but usually they won't bill you until you check out. Like most hotels, I feel like that's how it works. And that's what I was expecting to happen here, because, you know what I mean? I figured I'll definitely be able to afford it after like a week's pay. This will be no problem. So, so the guy at the front desk wants me to run my card, and I did run one of them, just for, I don't know. I don't know why. I knew good and well it wasn't going to go through. I didn't have $1,500 sitting in there or whatever it was. So I was like, shit, okay, well, he couldn't like edit my booking. He just basically had to go in and delete my reservation. And we tried multiple things. I'm like, okay, well, what about 1 week? What about 3 days? And I'm trying my card multiple times. And it's one of those like online banks. They don't really have branch locations. So I'm thinking this is going to be fine. It continues to get declined. And I'm like, that's so weird. Even when I had enough to cover it, it still wasn't going through. So I'm like, okay, this isn't working. I know I have cash in my car. Meanwhile, Pumpkin's still in the car. Like, this is insane. I'm freaking out because I'm 6 hours away from home, and I just got to get enough to get cash really for this one night. And I do. I find it. So I'm rummaging around my car. If this fucking dude doesn't come out from like behind the like desk window or whatever to like try and make a deal, he's like, I'll give you 2 nights for this. I'm like, yeah, okay. And so I go in there with my money, and I'm just like, I'm definitely crying because, first of all, I'm so embarrassed. First of all, that this is happening to me. Like, I am so humiliated. And like, the guy was nice. He's like, look, I get it. I'm from Jamaica. I came here with nothing. Don't worry about it. Just very understanding. But then it was when he said, look, I have a room. I stay here. You can wait in there until I get off at 11 so you don't have to sit in your car. I said, you want me to what? And he's like, no, I'm just saying, I have a room here. You can stay, you can, wait in. And I was like, oh, no, just the one night, And I paid like 140 fucking bucks to stay in that shitty Motel 6. It didn't have anything in it, not a mini fridge, not a dang thing. The window view was just another brick wall. By the time I got in there, I was so upset. The way I had it planned in my mind was I was gonna check into this Motel 6. It was gonna be a humble kind of first day, and you know what I mean? I thought I would be like vlogging like my first night, like I've arrived, like these are the healthy snacks I've brought. Guys, I was too embarrassed to go back to the ice machine. I did not leave that room. There was another guest out there too. She had like the world's like thickest black eyebrows and an accent that I did not recognize. She was white. I don't know, maybe Australian. I could not tell you. I couldn't on my life tell you. But like she was like, oh, do you need any help? But the whole vibe just really sketched me out. I did not like it. Everything freaked me out. So I locked myself in that door. I'm like, I like barely even brought anything in. I thought I was gonna be unpacking on camera. Like I thought things were gonna be so good and cute. No, I called my mother in tears. I had to call a couple friends. Like I was upset. And I had to call them like from the motel phone too, because my cell phone was out. I had to get someone to remotely like help me pay that, because I tried plugging my laptop into the Motel 6 like TV, the HDMI. That didn't work. My screen is like being weird, so that's kind of why I have to do it that way. So anyway, yeah, that sucked. I checked out of there. I mean, I paid cash, so I booked it. And I went across the street to the Holiday Inn or whatever, another little like motel, but I don't know, somehow still a little bit nicer. Like had a microwave, had a little mini fridge, had breakfast in the morning, had like a proper desk, not like a weird window behind glass. I don't know, it just gave me a much like better vibe. Not great, I'll tell you what, that place was filthy. Ants, disgusting, absolutely disgusting. I mean, it was fine for what I paid for it, and by what I paid for it, I mean what my mother helped me pay for. She, thank God, I'll tell you what, you guys, what a privilege it is to have parents who love you and will help you. So my mom helped me pay for that Holiday Inn. That's where I ended up staying for the first 2 weeks, minus that awful first night. I was so happy when that was over and I got into like a place with like a little fridge and just like I could move my things in and like I could set up the cats' food and stuff. That was that. So I stayed there, and yeah, so they had a breakfast every morning at, well, I don't really remember the time, it doesn't matter. But they had like cereal, different egg stuff, yogurts, pastry. They had waffle makers out with batter, bagels, fruit, coffee, tea, juice, cocoa, all the good stuff. So I'd usually just go to breakfast, maybe grab a few items to stash in my fridge, have a little something for lunch. Okay, so I'm there and I get a call from my recruiter on like the day before I'm supposed to start, and she's like, oh, you know, our system background check has been down. This is happening to everyone in the New York, or everyone on New York assignments. You know, you're not going to start for 3 days. So that was honestly an unexpected relief, I think, to an extent. But God, was it boring. Oh my God, was it boring. Just sitting in the motel, like I was just like too I don't know, depressed, like, to, like, go into New York City. I just, like, didn't feel like doing any of that. I didn't feel like exploring, like, all that much of stuff yet. Like, I didn't. I don't even want to say it. Yeah, they never changed any of my shit. Never brought me more toilet paper. Not a goddamn thing. Nothing. So after that, I now came to the Air BnB I'm at now. This one is so weird too. So it seems like, I think there's like 3 or 4 like rooms upstairs in a house. And we like all share a bathroom. It reminds me of like being away when I studied abroad. That was quite a long time ago now. I almost don't even want to admit how long ago it was. But I was an undergrad, and I'll tell you what, this is another travel horror story that I'm tempted to save for another video, but it was so horrendous. So I was 19 years old. On my first international flight, I flew out of Toronto, which is a short drive. Well, it's like a 1 to 2 hour drive from Buffalo. I drove up there to with my mom and the guy she was seeing at the time, RIP. So we drove up there so I could fly direct from Toronto to London Heathrow, instead of like going like Buffalo to JFK to, or whatever it was gonna be, right? So I get up there. This is a time before not before cell phones, but before like the iPhone really kind of became so ubiquitous. I'm up there in Toronto. At this point, my mom has already dropped me off, driven back to the United States. I'm in there. This flight gets delayed until it gets like basically canceled. It gets pushed to the next day. I'm like, okay, great. So the airline, it was Air Canada, who I will never fly again. Air Canada set up the passengers in a hotel. We had to take the shuttle to the hotel and wake up at like 5 in the freaking morning to get on the flight they were going to put us on. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I would never choose a 5 o'clock flight. Like, I was so worried I was going to oversleep that. You have no idea how many alarms I set. I was so mad too because I was wearing a lot of the clothes I was packing. I had like one large luggage suitcase. I think that got checked. I had that, a stuffed ass backpack, and like a big tote bag purse. So I wasn't exactly traveling light. So like I was gonna be there for 3 months. My mom convinced me to take the large suitcase, and I did. And I didn't want to, and I have mixed feelings about that still. Actually, no, I don't. I'm glad I brought it. I know my mom felt bad that I ended up taking it, which is the only reason I kind of have mixed feelings about it. But anyway, so I'm on this flight the next day, knowing good and well, no one is going to be at the airport to pick me up because the unibus was supposed to be at the airport at a certain time and I couldn't reach them. So I flew in and basically spent the whole night awake in the airport until I got on the tube at 6 a.m., had a good cry. 2 hours later, I finally made it to my dorm and slept for probably a solid 24 hours. That was the long and short of it. That's the whole basic story. And that's all just to say that this isn't like my first travel mishap. I was on a streak for literal years. Every flight I was on would get delayed. Every single one. There was a period of time where I long distance dated a guy who lived in Hoboken, New Jersey. So I would often fly from Buffalo to JFK. It's a pretty cheap flight. It's like 50 minutes. It's really nice. And almost every damn time. And I'm not talking like delayed 25 minutes. No, I'm talking hours. Like I had an afternoon flight get pushed back to like 10 p.m. And he like had to go just like wait for me at JFK. and then hike all the way back to Hoboken from there. Like, nightmare situations in travel. But I've had better luck. I've had better luck lately, minus like the whole Motel 6 fiasco. But anyway, I've made it. It didn't go as planned. That's where we are. Speaking of JFK, one of the things I did, like my second week here, I had to fly home. And I remember feeling so anxious about that whole prospect because I knew I was only really going for one day and I had to be back. So I found like a cheap flight. I flew Delta out of JFK. I managed to drive myself from New Rochelle area down to JFK, find a parking space and get on my flight and make it. Like, I'm still shocked that I was able to do all that, like stuff you never think you could do. And then I was home for when I needed to be home. I had to wake up early AF the next day, in my own bed at least, get a ride to the airport, and that was like the first leg of my commute into work that day. I landed in JFK, took the AirTrain, walked down to my car, and I drove it right to work. I had a pair of scrubs ready to go in the car, and it was crazy. Driving's just been extra safe, extra slow, cautious. This shirt's from Old Navy, actually. So cute. It's kind of cropped, but you can't see it. The facility I work at is positioned up on a hill. That is one thing that continues to surprise me. We're in like the Hudson Valley, and it's so hilly. It's so hilly. Some of these roads, I feel like I'm on a roller coaster, going up like and down sometimes. Sometimes I'm going down a hill and I'm accelerating just because the car is like picking up speed like that. It's wild. It's the craziest thing is probably, though, not the craziest, but one thing I like deal with every day is the fact that the parking lot to my work is at the bottom of a hill. And I walk up this hill every day in the summer. It is miserable, but I have to wonder if it would be worse in the winter. And also, speaking of winter, you know what's so funny? Whenever, you know, someone asks me where I'm from, and I say Buffalo, I always get the same response. If you think you know what it is, go ahead and drop it in the comments. And I'm going to tell you what it is in a second, but just because we're so near to New York City and there are so many immigrants from all over the world, there are many accents, all people speaking English, and all sounding different. It's just like, it's really neat. I'm really into stuff like that. Anyway, they all say, Buffalo, it's cold there. Yeah, like in the winter, it's cold. It's cold there. And yeah, maybe we have a long winter sometimes, but I don't think any more than like New York City itself. That's what I say to people. Like, yeah, it's cold in the winter, but like this week especially, we're having like this heat wave. It's just as hot down there as it is like up here. So, whatever. Buffalo, it's cold there. Yep, it is. Yeah, it is. Thanks again for watching this vlog. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.